Hi there. Welcome to Granny Rocks Our World. I'm Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Beth or Granny Rocks, and today I'm going to be talking about weather, money, and relationships when emergencies are the new normal. How to cope.
Indeed.
But before I do that, I would like to introduce wee baby James, who is going to introduce the show. And welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to see you.
Welcome to Granny Rocks Our World, where once again Granny is going to share her wisdom, her wit, and her uncommon sense, as she does every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at this time, 6:30 Pacific. So stay with us. And now, here's Granny.
Hi there. Well, as you probably will have figured out shortly, if you haven't already, we are not live. We are recording this on Wednesday, and we're going to have it. Going to send it up to some place where they can actually upload it. We still have no internet. Now, the good news is that we have been promised internet by Thursday night by 8 p.m.
At last.
That means Friday we're going to be live, which means you can talk to me and I can talk to you. So we are live, but we can't talk to each other in real time. So please come back and celebrate with us on Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, when we hopefully will return to the live broadcast. But in the meantime, I want to talk about, this idea kept coming to me. When emergencies are the new normal, what do you do? What do you do? And now, why is this on my mind? Because it's been over a week and a half. We have had no internet. First, we had no heat. I mean, not no heat.
No power.
We had no power, then we had no phone, then we had no cell service, we had no internet, and we were snowed in. And it's been sort of like that ever since. We haven't gotten back to normal yet, but we have our power, which is cool. And we have a phone, which works.
Yes. And we have a way of getting this up to you
we
as
do.
a recorded video.
Yeah, because we've been able to plow out enough for James to leave. So we can do this. But naturally, I've been thinking about, well, what do we do next time? What do we do next time? See, now, before this emergency, and you'll see what this has to do with money and relationships and everything else in a minute. But you'll just have to give me a little time to develop the theme, right? So in the back of my mind, I kept hearing this phrase, when emergencies are the new normal. See, I don't want to believe that this will ever happen again. But it happened last year,
Yeah.
to a lesser degree, and the year before we got snowed in, but we've had power outages. We haven't had anything like this, but we haven't had climate change to this degree. So climate change, it's obvious, people, whether you're flooding in Houston or, the forest fires up here in Oregon or California in the west, or the floods now they're flooding in California.
And the tornadoes in the south.
Tornadoes, I don't even know, I haven't seen the news in over a week and a half. Because I haven't had the internet and we don't have anything else. So
we're having weird weather, more and more weird weather.
Right.
With climate change.
And so we have to say this is the new normal. Now, do we? And now, before we get more onto that, I want to talk about money and relationships. Well, you have a job, you don't have a job. Your industry goes out of business.
You can't get to your job.
Right. Trump, no, I mean just in terms of jobs, like Trump shuts down the government and you haven't gotten your back pay yet.
Yeah.
Or you lose your job, or the landlord raises your rent. I mean, there's always something, isn't there? It's not like, oh, yeah, you get a job, you work in the same company for 50 years, you get a watch, and there you are, you're good. So it's not like that. People have to keep changing professions, and you have to move, and sometimes that doesn't work, and then you get sick, and so money can be a constant source of stress. I mean, a constant emergency, right? And it's the same thing with relationships. Your partner is a gambler, and you never know when he or she is, or they are going to, come back and say, oops, we lost the house.
And the additional stress on the relationships of these emergencies.
Yes, yes, that's absolutely true. But what I'm talking about is that in our relationships, there are always emergencies, it seems. This one is drinking, or that one is womanizing or manizing, or whatever else is going on. So you're your partner could have an unpredictable illness. Your partner gets cancer. I mean, there are so many things where you feel like, oh, I'm settled in for like 30 seconds, right? And then there's an emergency. So it's not that what you're saying.
If it ain't one thing, it's another.
Exactly. So it was not that what you said was not true, James, but I was just making a different point.
Oh, okay.
Which is that within our, when we look at the climate and we look at money issues and we look at relationships, there's a lot of uncertainty. And I mean, and many other things too. I just picked those. It could have been something else. So much uncertainty and so many emergencies. Your daughter has gone off to Mexico and hasn't been heard from in 6 weeks. You don't know whether she's been abducted or not. You don't know whether your partner is going to die. It's like there's this state of siege that we're under all the time, and it seems like more and more we're living with that. In the last show, which was on Monday, right? Because this is Wednesday.
Yep.
So in the last show, I was talking about when you've actually lost your last leg. What are you going to do? Because people say, oh, I'm on my last leg. And supposing the people you're relying on, they're on their last leg, or they've lost their last leg. And the very same, that very thing happened yesterday. Because I have a phone, I was able to make a phone call. And I was talking to this woman, and she was there to help me, and she was being very helpful. And then it turned out that she lives in Topanga in California. It's in LA, and her house is flooded 3 times recently, and she's in the middle of the divorce. So I was like, oh God. So she's in an emergency. So everybody's in this state of emergency, right? And more that's true. And more, because as people are stressed, as you said, now this point is really important, that what you it becomes an emergency when we're so stressed that we emotionally start breaking down. And then we start fighting, and there's all kinds of things that happen. So one emergency can lead to another. After a while, you sort of get tired of not having, all the things you need. Thank God we were able to manage. We had enough food. But it was still not pleasant. And
when we're stressed, it's harder to cope because we don't function as well. We don't think as
exactly.
clearly. We're not calm, cool, and collected.
Exactly, which creates a new emergency.
Yeah.
Cognitive impairment is its own emergency, right? Because what did I do? What? So the thing that I want to talk about that is that this is the reality of our lives today. You never know. It's going to be one climate change thing or another, one relationship thing or another, one financial thing or another. Oh, the stock market just crashed. It's up, it's down, it's up. I don't even know if it's up or down. But anyway, our president has just jailed 25,000 people because he decided that they're all crooks. Even though he doesn't have any information about it, and so those people are going to be in a state of emergency, right?
And he just raised tariffs 25%. All of a sudden, grocery stores are hit, and a whole bunch of other businesses are hit.
Right, they're in a state of emergency, or you see, and not to speak if you do happen to be an undocumented worker who's been living here for 40 years, contributing to society, and now you're really scared. So with all these emergencies, what do? What I think most of us do is go into denial if we possibly can. We either go into hysteria where everything is an emergency and we just get crazy, or we go into denial. Now, why am I mentioning this? Is only when we realize that we are in a constant state of emergency now will we do anything about it. So we have not had weather like this. I mean, I lived in Oregon before. I've lived now here several years, but I also lived here before. I've never seen weather like this. When I used to live in Southern Oregon, we never had 115-degree temperatures in, where I lived. It was always, who needed an air conditioner, right? Well, now you do, right? And now we are trying to figure out, should we get a snowplow? What should we do? And suddenly we have to ask these questions. Do we want to ask the questions? No. So, for example, let's say the spouse or the mate who shares a credit card with us is running up our credit card, right? So we look at it and it's like, oh, okay. But that just happened once, right? They went out and got drunk. My ex-husband, he ran up our credit card paying for an abortion for a woman that he was having an affair with that he didn't want me to know about. So it's not very smart, right? Except that he needed the money. So then when I get this bill and I discovered that he's done this, I'm thinking, okay, now do I cut him off the credit card? See, is this a once in a lifetime emergency, or is this the new normal? When emergencies are the new normal, we have to change our normal behavior. Do we want to make that change? No, we do not. I don't. Because, like, I'm in a groove. Okay, it may not be the best of all grooves.
Routine.
Yeah, a settled routine. So, I don't worry about that. I don't worry about sweet baby James and the credit card, right? But all of a sudden, if, he kind of had a lapse in consciousness and, went to Venezuela, with Matilda.
Couldn't find my way home, so I took the long way.
Exactly. So, took Matilda to Venezuela. Then I would be in trouble. See, we count on things being the same in order for us to have some kind of peace of mind, but we can't. We can't. So that means we have to start thinking reality, thinking creatively. And do we want to do that? No, because life is tough enough. Do we need more? I mean, we're trying to figure out, how are we going to get the propane truck up the driveway? And so and how are we going to get out? And how can I do the show and all this stuff? Do we need yet another form, a satellite telephone or whatever, right? So it's hard to face, but what I'm asking you to do is to look at whether you have a tendency to freak out totally and just get nuts, or whether you go into denial, and at what point do you say that emergencies are the new normal? And I would say regarding the weather, we already have that answer, don't we?
Yeah.
And that means we have to be ready for that new normal. And I'd like to lead you in a life force right now in order to help us all to do that very thing. And now I'm going to transition to this. We had everything working perfectly before when we were on the net, and let's see if we can manage, because we're not going to have anybody screaming at us telling us that we don't have sound. Okay.
Chatting in a screaming way.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, guys. So hopefully all is well and I don't fall down. I've had emergencies like when I fell and I had sessions and I broke an arm, and I did the sessions first and then we called the paramedics because I was so unwilling to acknowledge that anything had happened. I just wanted to go on like normal, right? Okay, so you're going to work with me on this. We're going to do sounds. You're going to follow my sounds, my words, my movements, and we're going to face the new realities, face the new normal. And we're going to snap our fingers and we're going to break up this old energy that there we go. Now, when we make this sound, I want you to feel it right down here in your belly. It sounds like a phone, when you've left it on, and it goes. Okay, now arch your back and bring your chest forward. Now bring your arms back, and you'll feel like, kind of a stretch in your shoulders, right? And feel yourself facing forward, right? Like you're like so. And I want you to suddenly feel yourself as a bird, ready to take off at any time. I can change directions.
I can change directions.
Relax your shoulders. I can change direction.
I can change direction.
Like right now. Lily.
Ha!
See, this is something coming out of your.
Ha!
I can change direction.
I can change direction.
Just feel the vibrational energy coming through you if you can. Now repeat these words. And do this kind of like in a sense of relaxation. There is no normal.
There is no normal.
How do we cope?
How do we cope?
Prepare.
Prepare.
Think.
Think.
Turn to one another.
Turn to one another.
Up and down. Look to the universe.
Look to the universe.
And laugh.
And laugh.
Thanks for joining us at Granny Rocks Our World. And where we do a lot of all of that. We think, we turn to one another, we prepare, and we laugh. Thank you for joining us today.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye. See you on Friday. Live. Bye-bye.